Hey, Kian, Aliza, Deja. Hey, Daniel. Right, it's great to see you all today. Wonderful. Anybody have any exciting news? Anything fun to talk about? Are you enjoying the change of seasons? Those of you who live where the leaves turn color, getting really bright colors around me these days, which is really nice. All right. Remember to start class with your cameras on. Those of you who do not have them on, we need to at least begin. I prefer that you leave them on the whole time, but that's not strictly required. If you get your parents to give permission why you have to leave them off. That's the rule. All right. Anybody have any questions? All right, let's begin. All right, we're going to start the study of amphibians this week. So what do we mean when we say amphibian? Anybody know what an amphibian is? Can you give me a approximate definition, Alistair?
Amphibian means double life,
Yeah,
or
very good.
it also means that can live in the land or water.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. So here's our specific and formal definition. It is an organism that, as Alistair said, can live on both land and water. They are cold-blooded, or what's the term that we use for cold-blooded? Hiba.
The ectothermic?
Very good. And they are ectothermic vertebrates. What does that mean? Vertebrate. Go ahead, Hiba.
Um, with backbone.
Yes, with backgrounds. So they are cold-blooded. Remember, that doesn't mean they have cold blood. It means that they regulate their temperature based on what's happening around them. As opposed to us, we stay about 98.6 degrees as regardless of what the temperature is around us. That our body works to try to maintain that temperature. So amphibians' temperature changes with their surroundings. Now there are three orders. So remember once again, dear King Philip cried, "Oh, kingdom, domain, kingdom, phylum, class, and then order." So there are three orders of amphibians. We have toads and frogs. Those are called Anura. We have salamanders. Those are Urodela. And we have caecilians, and those are known as Apoda. Now, there's about 8,000 different species of amphibians. 90% of those are one kind. Anybody have any guess what almost all of the amphibians are? Are they toads, frogs, salamanders, or caecilians? Hiba.
Toads and frogs, but probably frogs.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They are the frogs. About 90% of all amphibian species are frogs. All right. So I want to talk just a second about participating in class. I want to encourage you guys to try to do that. Now, it was brought to my attention that sometimes a student can raise their hand or do the, raising the little virtual hand, and I don't see it. So um, when that happens, if I don't see you or your hand is up or you frequently raise your hand and you're like, why hasn't she ever called on me? I put my hand up. Well, there's a couple reasons that that might happen. It could be that if you just do this, maybe I don't see it. Or if you raise your hand, like actually, Beth, can I use you as an example? See how the corner of Beth's room is yellow? If Beth raises that little virtual hand, I might not see it. Can you do that, Beth? Can you raise your hand? Do the virtual thing?
I don't know how to.
Oh, okay. There's a little somebody tell her how because it looks different on mine.
Like,
There's just a button on the bottom that
yeah,
says
on
raise
the
hand.
bottom it says raise
Oh, there
hand.
you go. So do you see how that's kind of blends in with her yellow wall? Sometimes I don't really see that. Now, another possibility is that we have different internet speeds. So that means that sometimes your hand right here might actually show up after I've already called on somebody else. So I want to do a little demonstration that's kind of fun to show you guys how different our internet speeds are. Okay, I'm going to count down. Ready, set, go. When I say go, everybody unmute your microphones first. Unmute your microphone just for a second. When I say go, we're all going to sing happy birthday together. Okay? Ready, set, go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alistair.
Happy
Happy birthday to you.
Hear how funny that is? We all come in at different times. So that's a possibility that that simply you put your hand up and I don't see it. So here's what I want you to do. If you raise your hand and I don't see it, I don't call on you, move it. See how much more visible it is when I'm moving it? Or do a question mark in the chat box, like type just that. And that way I'll know that you want to answer a question. Okay? If it's happened to you a few times, let me know. Write to me and let me know, and I will make sure to make a point of noticing you. Because remember, you do get a participation grade in this class. Now, I don't lower your grade if you don't participate, but I do raise your grade a little bit if you do. So it's worth participating. And for the most part, you guys are all doing great. So just, we all know each other. I know it's a little intimidating sometimes to talk in class, but we're all friends with one another. Even Maya wants to say hi to you all the time. So I think we can be comfortable with one another. Okay. One more thing before we start class. Just a reminder, we will not have class next Monday. So this time next week, no class. I'll send you a couple reminders later in the week and then another one on Monday, just so you remember. If you're available, you can come to the class on Tuesday at 11. If you're not, that's fine. You can watch the recording and I'll post the recording next Tuesday after that class. Okay? Any questions? All right, so before we leave fishes behind and start studying amphibians, I want to do a case study in which something seems just a little bit fishy. But first, we have a bunch of jokes. All right, these are some amphibian and fish jokes. Here's the first one. Why are frogs so happy? Why are frogs so happy? They eat whatever bugs them. How does a frog feel when he has a broken leg? Unhappy. What happens when you mix a frog with a bathtub scrubby mitt? You get a rubbit. Rubbit, rubbit. What happened to the frog's car when his parking meter expired? It got towed. What did the frog order at McDonald's? French fries and a Diet Coke. All right, there's a bunch more. You guys got to bear with me. What do stylish frogs wear? Jumpsuits. What kind of shoes do frogs wear? Open-toed sandals. What do frogs do with paper? Rip it. What did the frog dress up as on Halloween? A prince. All right, one more page. Where do fish keep their money? In a riverbank. How do you communicate with a fish? You drop it a line. What's the most expensive fish in the world? The goldfish. Yeah, there you go. Good, Mohammed. Yep. What party game do fish like to play? Salmon Says. What's the difference between a piano and a tuna? You can tune a piano, but you can't piano a tuna. And what's the best way to catch a fish? Have someone throw it at you. All right. If you guys know any good fish jokes, let me know. Minnow. All right, let's do our case study now. This case study is called The Coelacanth, the Discovery of an Odd Fish. Now, remember the term case study, you might see that. You might also see science scenario, especially when you're taking like achievement tests or big exams. You'll see science scenario. They mean the same thing. They're just a real life example of whatever it is that they're trying to teach you about. So this is the discovery of an odd fish. So this is a picture of Marjorie Courtenay Latimer. She was born in 1907, and she was the curator of the East London Museum in South Africa. Now, on December 23rd, 1923, she wrote this in her journal. My friend, Captain Hendrik Goosen, had just returned from a trawling trip around the mouth of the nearby Chalumna River. So anybody know what a trawling trip is? What does trawling mean? Trawling is a kind of fishing where they drag a net through the water. They basically catch a lot of stuff in the water. They catch whatever the net goes by in the water. All right, Henrik often calls on me when his catch is substantial so that I can look and see if there's anything, see if there may be anything of significant interest for the museum. More often than not, I find nothing but a pile of malodorous, which means stinky, fish. But this time, I saw something unusual. A strange bluish fin poking through the pile caught my eye. It was like no fish fin I had ever seen in all my years at the museum. Marjorie wrote, the captain and I shoved the other fish off the top of the pile to uncover the owner of the odd fin. There it lay before me, the most beautiful blue fish I had ever seen, 5 feet long, a pale mauve blue with iridescent silver markings. All right, take a look at this. What do you think that might have led Mrs. Courtenay Latimer to believe that such a fish might be special? What's unique about that fish? You guys just studied fish. You have an idea about them. Anybody? Anything look unusual to you there? Hiba.
The way the back fin is like flattened at the back rather than being separated like
Good.
the usual way.
Maybe it'll help if we compare it to a typical fish. So there's a picture right there. So what else looks different about that fish than a typical fish? Well, for one thing, it has very big scales on it. Remember, that's a 5-foot long fish, where the little goldfish is this big. Kian.
Its entire body is blue.
It is blue. Yeah, there aren't a lot of blue fish. So that's something that's unusual. Mohammed.
Its body structure, it has like its fins are located in a different way than the goldfish.
They are. And they're kind of fleshy looking. If you look at this goldfish has those translucent ones, where this has like almost part of the body, looks like it sticks into the fins. And look at the tail shape. It has a very strange tail shape. All right, now, imagine that you are Marjorie Courtenay Latimer, and you have just found this unusual fish. It is 127 pounds, 5 feet long. It's a really hot day, and you don't really know that much about fish. You're the curator of a museum, but you're not an expert on fish. So you don't know if this really is a significant find or not. So what do you think you should do? What would you do if you were her? Hiba.
Like you can go find someone who does know a lot about fish.
Good. You might find an expert. Yeah. Mohammed?
I probably go and ask an expert about this fish and probably see if it's common in this area or not.
Excellent answers. All right, so what do you guys think she actually did? So I have a poll question here. I'm going to give you, hold on. Always takes me a minute to get. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So what do you think she did? Sketched the fish and took some measurements, asked the captain to have the fish delivered to the museum, took some pictures with a camera and collected a DNA sample, loaded the fish into the back of a taxi cab. What do you think? All right, half of you have answered. Need 3 more answers. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, here are your results. What she actually did, keep in mind, this was 1907. DNA testing was not available in 1907. That's what we would do now. But we didn't know about DNA back in 1907. So this is what she did. Let me end the sharing. I'm no fish expert, but I had this strange feeling that somehow this fish was special. I decided to take the fish with me, and after a heated discussion with the taxi driver, we stuffed the huge fish into the back seat of the cab and headed off for the museum. I imagine that was a heated argument. Imagine a 5-foot-long fish being stuffed into your taxi cab. I don't think so. All right. When Margie showed the fish to the museum director, what do you think he did? I got another poll for you. What do you think? Said it was just an ordinary fish, became excited and told her to find a fish expert, asked her to please remove that big dead fish before it began to smell, or gave her a big raise at the corner office. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here's your results. And this is what actually happened. The next day, Marjorie wrote in her diary, "Could not believe that the director of this museum would not even consider the bizarre appearance of this fish as unique. To think he said it was just another rock cod. I feel that it definitely resembles some of the pictures I found in Fossil Fishes of the World." Yeah, he said it was just an ordinary fish. Now, let's take a look at a rock cod. This is what he thought it was. That's a rock cod. And here's another one. Now, if we put them side by side, does it look like a rock cod to you? What do you see that's different about it than a rock cod?
Its fins and its tail.
Its fins and its tail, yeah, for sure. Beth, what else do you see?
Like the front fin is pointed up instead of down.
Yep. Yep. Excellent. This one right here. Look at the face. Look at the lobes that this one has. This one doesn't have those bunch of lobes there. Now, they both do have that superior mouth, and they both have an eye. That's about where the similarity ends. So that was pretty bad that he didn't think that was important. All right, now, this is the first time I've wished my expertise lie in fish instead of birds, she said. I must contact J.L.B. Smith from Grahamstown. He was an expert about fish. But he'd gone on vacation, of course. So Marjorie had the decomposing fish mounted by a taxidermist. The picture above is a drawing that she sent Dr. Smith. After the mounting, she received a telegram on January 3rd from Dr. Smith. Most important preserved fish and gills equals fish described. All right, this is what she wrote in her diary too. Dr. Smith arrived today, this is February 16th, and caused quite a stir. He positively identified the fish as a coelacanth, a fish that was thought to have been extinct for about 70 million years. My hunch was correct. We have found a living fossil. Dr. Smith said that this fish and its relatives were swimming in seas and lakes when T. rex walked the earth. Cannot begin to describe my excitement. All right, so this is a fossil of a coelacanth. And here's Dr. Smith with a coelacanth right there, with the preserved one that they were able to see. Now, let's, the youngest coelacanth fossil found has been dated to 70 million years ago. Why do you think there was a gap of 70 million years in the coelacanth fossil record? Got another poll for you. Here you go. Because they became extinct 70 million years ago and then came back to life? Because they became extinct 70 million years ago and then evolved again? Or they were out there, they just hadn't been found yet? Why was there this gap of 70 million years in the fossil record? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you guys all got that one. They were out there. They just hadn't been found yet. Do you guys think that the captain and his crew caught the very last coelacanth ever? Yes or no? Was this just one unique one that was the last one found? Yeah, that's pretty clear that the answer is no. It's unlikely that this is the very last coelacanth on Earth. So the scientists probably didn't capture the last one because it wouldn't be very likely that they would just accidentally trawl up the single remaining individual just by accident. So they hypothesized, the scientists now, Dr. Smith and Marjorie, hypothesized that more members of that species were living in the area where this one was found. So what do you think they should do next? What do you think they should do now? Mohammed.
How we make it like a reserved place for like scientists or something.
Yep. All right. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? All right, let's talk about some discussion questions. If you were a scientist interested in coelacanths, what would you do next? Hiba.
Like, if you're interested, you might, like, I guess, go and check out the area and see if there are any other fish.
Good. Yep. Kian?
Do research and probably visit the museum.
All right, excellent. Mohammed?
I'll probably go there, like, go there ask because I can, not caring about anything, just looking for it.
Good. Good. Daniel says, search for it for years until I die. Yeah. Never give up, right? Never give up, never surrender. All right. If there are more coelacanths, who cares? Why is it important that we find them? Alistair.
So that we can preserve them.
Yeah. If there are more, and there probably are more, there's a lot of information to be gained about a fish that we thought was extinct for 70 million years. The species might be rare. It might be rare to the point of being endangered. Hannah.
So we can learn about them?
Yeah, we can absolutely learn a lot about them. Yep. All right. Now, there it is. There's the preserved specimen. Now, here's a couple fun facts. Marjorie Courtenay Latimer, Dr. Smith, and their coelacanth became overnight celebrities for a one-day only showing of the coelacanth in East London in 1939. 20,000 visitors reportedly showed up. The fish specimen was named Latimeria chelumnae in honor of Mrs. Courtenay Latimer and the area in which it was caught, the Chelumna River mouth. Here's a picture of Marjorie with her fish. And here's a couple more fun facts. Another living coelacanth was not found until 14 years later. It was caught by a fisherman in the Comoros Islands, hundreds of miles north of the Chelumna River. Its internal organs were preserved, leading to many interesting insights into its biology. Based on recent and ongoing observations of coelacanths off the Comoros, scientists know coelacanths live about 180 meters deep in caves, bear live young, and live for about 60 years. So do you get an idea of why we haven't seen very many? Why they thought they were extinct? They live about 180 meters down. People don't go down that far very often. Now, these Comoros fishermen had known about this fish for a long time. They called it gambessa. They had a different name for it. But if these native people knew about coelacanths, but the Western world didn't, did she really discover it? What do you think? The people who lived in the area near the Chalumna River, they knew about it. So did she really discover it? Muhammad.
Well, for the rest of the world, probably yes, but to, like, the native people, no.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Not really. Oh, Kian, go ahead.
I think it's probably the same thing as did Christopher Columbus discover America?
Probably. Yeah, it was there the whole time. So we might have found it, but he didn't really discover it. That's a good point. So the existence of this fish was already known to the people who lived in the Comoros Islands and possibly in Indonesia, which is right there. It was really only discovered as we would define discovery by Western science. So this is the case of many discoveries. Native people inhabiting the areas in which these discoveries are made are often already familiar with it. They already know that it's there. All right, now let's fast forward here to 1997. Two American scientists visiting Indonesia spotted a coelacanth at a fish market. DNA studies have shown it to be a different species of coelacanth, Latimeria menadoensis. Indonesian fishermen, again, had known about this fish for years, calling it Raja Laut, king of the sea. And small populations of coelacanth have been found off the east coast of Africa and off the coast of Indonesia. Global numbers of both species combined are estimated at about 1,000 individuals. So that is critically endangered. That's what we call it. So it's very important that we continue learning about these species and, in order to learn how to preserve them. So it's often the case with these scientific discoveries that she didn't have a big knowledge about fish biology. She didn't know a whole lot about fish, but why do you think she was able to make her discovery? How did she make this discovery? Because she wasn't a fish expert. Muhammad.
Because she was able to send like a telegraph or something to like a fish expert to come and see
Good.
the
She was
fish.
able to use the fish expert. What about even before that? She absolutely called on the expert. That was the right thing to do. But what even before she called the expert, how was she able to make that discovery? Hiba.
By using what she did know about fish
Excellent.
to figure out like what was different.
Right. She had a good general sense of biology. She knew what fish generally look like. She was curious. She had an observant eye. So then after that, she very carefully researched and found experts to help her. So what can we learn from her example? What's the moral to the story here that we can learn from her? Hannah.
To be observant and to be observant.
Yep. To be observant, to be curious, to have a general knowledge of things and then apply that general knowledge. Yeah, it's not necessary to be an expert at something in order to contribute to the field of science. So she had a good general knowledge and we can do that too. She had a questioning mind and we can have that too. And just by observing the world around us, we can often make big contributions that are very significant. Now, Marjorie Courtney Latimer died on May 17th, 2004 at the age of 97, having been a celebrity for a good bit of her life because she made this discovery. Pretty interesting. All right, let's do a couple more short case studies. This one is called, it's like just a mini case story. So these are called Menhaden. Anybody ever heard of Menhaden before? They are very popular, very common in the Atlantic Ocean and in the Gulf of Mexico. So they are a kind of small, oily fish. They rarely get longer than about 15 inches long. So they're pretty little. They are filter feeders. What does that mean? Filter feeders. Hiba.
They basically like take gulps of water and then have whatever food comes from them.
Right.
Sort
What
of.
happens with the water that they gulp?
I can't remember.
Anybody know that? Muhammad?
It comes out through the gills.
Yeah, the water goes in their mouth. They filter out the food and the extra water goes out through their gills. So they swim in large, slow-moving, tightly packed schools and their mouths are open. So picture that. They're just swimming through with a wide open mouth and they take out of the water zooplankton and phytoplankton. So phyto is the tiny little, often microscopic plants. Zooplankton are tiny little, often microscopic animals, and they filter those out of the water. Now, the smallest menhaden eat zooplankton, but once they get a little bit bigger, they switch. Oh, I'm sorry. The smallest ones eat plants. As they get a little bit older, they switch over to the animals. And let's see here. They're not used directly for food. We don't eat them. Instead, they're processed into fish oil and fish meal that are used as ingredients in your food, animal feed, and dietary supplements. Any of you guys heard of omega-3 before? Omega-3s are a common supplement that people take. It's really good for your heart to get enough omega-3. The best way to get omega-3 is by eating a lot of fish. But for people who don't eat a lot of fish, they sometimes will take a fish oil supplement or an omega-3 supplement. And that's what these menhaden are used from. So fish oil that's made from menhaden is also used as a raw material for products like lipstick. Interesting. And for most of the history of the menhaden fishery, oil and fertilizer were the things it was mostly used for. Mostly it was used for oil and fertilizer. Now, they are small, they're silvery, and very nutritious. So they have long been thought of as the most important fish of the sea. So they live a lot in the Chesapeake Bay as well, which is around our nation's capital, around Washington, D.C. So menhaden are a fundamental link in the food web of the Chesapeake. They're an important source of food for a lot of other fish, as well as marine mammals and seabirds. And because they're good filter feeders, they filter a lot of algae. They also filter a lot of toxins out of the water. Now, their health directly affects the health of the entire ecosystem. Unfortunately, they've been fished for a long time for these other things. They have been industrially fished, so the industry will take a lot of these out of the water. And some people fear that they're being overfished and that overfishing could lead to the extinction of menhaden. So think about this. What do you think the consequences might be for everything if the menhaden were overfished to the point that they became extinct? Hiba.
I guess like the ecosystem could kind of collapse in the ocean.
Yeah, how?
Like if they're overfished, what's it called? The fish that use them as food,
Yeah.
Could starve and like go extinct too. And then
Yeah. You take away an organism's main food source, the other organisms are going to die as well. They're going to struggle. And then the ones that eat them are going to struggle. And the ones that eat them are going to struggle. So this can have a ripple effect. Excellent. People would have to find other fish to make the supplements. Yep. So think of all the things that we use them for. We use them for fertilizers. We use them for nutritional supplements that we have. Muhammad.
If they probably get extinct, then most people's lives get probably crushed or something. Because like the products that you get out of it, and probably like it filter feeds the water, so the water might start becoming dirtier, I guess.
Yep, that's an excellent point, because as the filter feeders, the ones that take the algae and take the toxins out of the water, as their their numbers go down, then we have dirtier water. It's not being filtered as well. So it would really throw the entire ecosystem out of balance. The predators that eat them would decrease because they didn't have enough food. What about the organisms that are eaten by the menhaden? Remember, they have to sift the things from the water. What about that zooplankton and phytoplankton? What would happen to it if the menhaden weren't around? Beth.
They would like overpopulate the ocean.
Yeah, because there wouldn't be as many menhaden eating them. So really, we would affect the entire food web in that area. Now, think about this. What consequences would there be if an artificial alternative to menhaden was found? So in other words, if they found a way to make the products in a lab instead of getting them from menhaden, so they just stopped fishing for menhaden completely, what would happen? Hannah.
The menhaden population would get really big.
And then where would that lead?
And then all the animals that eat them would get more food and therefore have more young, and then there's far more of everything.
Yep, except what would there be far less of? There's far more of everything above them in the food chain. Hiba.
There would be much less of like the zooplankton that they eat,
Yeah.
but also like whoever has jobs well, I don't know if machines do it, but if someone has jobs to fish out the fish, like they could lose their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the menhaden would soon eat more food than they needed because their numbers got so big, right? Now that would lead to other organisms. So there's this balance. There's this, when the predators go up, the prey goes down. When the prey goes up, the predators can go up too, but only for a while, and then things balance back out again. And those changes would be felt all the way through the food web as well. So this is an osprey, kind of a bird with a menhaden. So what do you think could be done now to help stop the overfishing of menhaden? What could people do instead that would stop the overfishing? Hiba.
So either like find some other fish that have oil too and like fish half menhaden and like half the other fish, or they could slowly like decline the fishing and then like stop at a certain point.
Yeah, that's called making a quota. So they would say to fishermen, you can only get this many fish out of the water in a given year. They would put a quota on the number of fish that they could catch. Those are good suggestions. What else? Anybody have any other thoughts? Mohammed.
Probably like have like restrictions on it.
Yep. Yep. They could have areas where there was no menhaden fishing at all, like a protected area. So the menhaden could grow and could flourish in that area. And, don't underestimate the importance of education. Just teaching people about the importance of these fish might really help to keep fishermen from taking out too many. And as individuals, we can stop buying things that are made with menhaden. We can find out whether the fish oil that we're taking, or the lipstick that we're using, or any of the other oil products that we're using are made with menhaden. Now, there's actually a lot of reason to be encouraged. So think about this. One adult female menhaden can have more than 300,000 eggs a year. So one can have 300,000 eggs. So if we reduce the pressure on the menhaden, they can have a chance to recover. So that's a good one. All right. I think what we might do now is play a hangman game. You guys know what hangman is? All right. So let me pull that up and see how, here we go. All right. So you guys are going to take turns telling me a letter, and then you will choose, as the letters go in here, they will vanish from down here. And anybody who knows the word, there's no competition here. We're just going to all sort of play together. What happens every time I click on that? Here we go. There we go. All right. So I'll take you in the order that I can see you on my screen. So Kian, you are first. Pick a letter.
E.
E. There are 2 E's. Daniel. Pick a letter, Daniel.
B.
Did you say B as in boy? There is no B. The head filled in on the hangman. Alistair.
S.
S. No S. We have the body. Beth.
A.
A. No A. We have a leg. Deja.
L.
No L. 2 legs. Muhammad.
And
No N. There's an arm. All right. Aaliyah.
I.
There's an I. Phew. Hannah.
H.
An H. There's an H. Hiba.
O.
There's an O. James.
T.
I knew you were going to say that. Yep. There's a T. Anybody know what it is?
exotherm.
Yeah, very good. It is ECTOTHERMIC. What does that mean? What does ectothermic mean? Tiba.
Like, I think it's cold-blooded.
Yeah, it's cold-blooded. Excellent. Remember, once again, cold-blooded doesn't mean their blood is cold, and hot-blooded doesn't mean our blood is hot. It's just the way that we regulate our temperature. All right, let's do the next word now. So we got through everybody there. All right, James, did you have a question?
I thought ectothermic was warm-blooded and exothermic was cold.
Endo is warm. Endothermic. And it's endo and ecto. Yeah. So exothermic, that's a kind of a chemical reaction that releases heat. So you're thinking exothermic, where heat exits the situation. And when we're talking about living things, we use ecto as our cold-blooded and endo as warm-blooded. Endo is in, so heat is generated inside the body. All right, very good, very good. All right, so we got all the way through everybody. So now I will go again. Some of you moved around a little bit, so if you're out of order, that's why. Daniel.
The word fish.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Is the word fish?
Let's check. Daniel thinks it's fish. Let's look. Oh, I think he's right. F-I-S-H. Oh, it is not fish. Anna.
Is it fins?
Yeah, it's fins. There we go. Excellent. That was too easy. All right, here's our next word. More letters this time. Kian.
He.
P as in puppy.
He.
T as in toy.
Yeah.
Okay, T. There is no T. Daniel.
E.
Sorry, you got to say it a little bit louder.
E.
D as in dog. E. Okay. Nope, no E.
Is the
Alistair.
word amphibians?
It AMPHIBIA. Nope, there need to be 2 more letters for amphibians.
Let's do an A. Get
An
out
A?
the econ.
Hey, yep, there's an A. Beth.
J.
J. There is no J. We have a leg. Deja.
R.
R. No, two legs. Muhammad.
D.
D. No D. Oh no. Aaliyah.
S.
Oh, there's no S. It was buoyancy. What does buoyancy mean? Hiba.
Is it when something floats or sinks?
Yeah, exactly. Something with high buoyancy is going to float. Something with low buoyancy is going to sink. And we learned with fish that they have the ability to adjust their buoyancy. So they can be, move up and down in the water column. All right, let's do, what do we got time? Yeah, we got time for another word. All right, so Hannah.
A.
N?
A.
Nope. What'd you say?
A.
M as in mom?
A.
A. Okay, sorry. I'm having trouble hearing. I'll give you that one. Yeah, there's an A. Let's see. Hiba.
I.
I. There's an I. James.
S.
S. There's an S. Kian.
L.
No L. Daniel. H. There's an H. Hiba.
Is the word hagfish?
It is hagfish. H-A-G-F. Yay, hagfish. Hagfish. Excellent. All right. I want to try a different thing now. So hold on here just a second. And let me get this on. All right. Okay, so what this is called Jetpunk. And this is like a trivia game where you will tell me, is a catfish a fish or not a fish? You guys can just holler out your answers and we'll see if we can finish it before the time runs out. All right, so let's start the quiz. We have 2 minutes. Catfish.
Fish.
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 Lionfish.
Fish.
Fish.
Cuttlefish.
Fish.
Fish.
Jellyfish.
No.
Not.
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 Lungfish.
Fish.
Not.
Fish.
Crayfish.
Fish.
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 Not
Shellfish.
Fish.
fish.
Stonefish.
Fish.
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 Silverfish.
Not
Not
fish.
fish.
Not.
Fish.
Starfish.
Not fish.
Fish.
Seahorse.
Fish.
Fish.
Not
Sea
fish.
urchin.
Not.
Not fish.
No, sorry, not fish.
Sea snake.
Not.
Not fish.
Eel.
Fish.
Fish.
Tadpole.
Not
Fish.
Octopus.
Not.
Whale shark.
fish.
Fish.
Porpoise.
Fish.
Not.
Fish.
Not
Not.
fish.
Not
Not fish.
Guppy.
Sure.
fish.
Manta ray.
Fish.
Manatee.
Not.
Not
Lamprey.
Why not?
Fish.
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 All right, let's see how we did. 45 seconds left. That was great. All right, catfish. You're right. Catfish is a fish. And a lionfish is a fish. A cuttlefish is a mollusk. Remember, they're close relatives of the squids and the octopuses. All right, jellyfish, you're right. It is not a fish. A lungfish is a fish. Crayfish is not. They are crustaceans that live in fresh water. Isn't what an octopus? Oh, you know what? That's a great question, Alistair. It can be both. You can say octopi or octopuses. Both of them are grammatically correct. Good point. Shellfish usually means things like shrimp and mussels and lobster, and they are not fish. Stonefish is. Silverfish is not. Starfish is not. Seahorse is. A sea urchin is not. A sea snake is not. An eel is a fish. A tadpole is not. An octopus is not. A whale shark is. A porpoise is not. A guppy is a fish. A manta ray is a fish. A manatee is not a fish. A lamprey is. And look at how we compared here. So we got all of them except these three: crayfish, cuttlefish, and shellfish. Excellent, excellent job. So I think at the top it tells you what the percentage is from everybody else. Oh, yeah. We scored 86%. We beat the test takers' average of 79.8%. All right, so we did very well with that. Good job, everybody. All right, let me see here if there's another. I think I had one more. We have time. We're going pretty quickly here. So here's another real short case study. It's just one page, this one. A company is using a wetland as a wastewater treatment facility. Recently, an employee of the company has observed mutant three-eyed fish swimming in the wetland. This means that the pollution level is too high. However, certain sources have reported that the three-eyed fish are delicious. Pollution levels above 0.01 parts per million produce three-eyed fish that are poisonous, and pollution levels under 0.001 do not produce any delicious three-eyed fish. Okay, so you don't want too much pollution, but a little pollution makes them delicious. Do you guys think it's ethically acceptable, meaning is it okay to do, to intentionally pollute the wetland in order to produce these really delicious fish? Got some no's coming there. Hiba.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. What if they're really, really delicious?
Too bad.
Too bad. Yeah, I love that you guys are all saying no. Excellent. Kian says depends on how good they taste. Yeah, yeah. Well, my thought is there's a lot of other really delicious food that we can eat. We don't really need to be polluting wetlands on purpose. And who knows, if the water they're swimming in is polluted, maybe there's some other thing like pizza. Yeah, exactly. Maybe there's some problems with it that are, we just haven't seen yet. All right. So before we say goodbye, Ajax just wanted to give you guys a final goodbye before we move on to learning about amphibians, which is what this week's lessons are all about. All right. Once again, just a reminder, you guys, we will not have class next week. We will the week after, though. Alistair.
So we've been reading Ajax all week.
Yep.
And I would like to know, what is your perspective of Ajax's voice? Because I know he's a fish, but what characteristics?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I think Ajax has kind of a high-pitched, squeaky voice. Hi, everybody. Like a cartoon. That's what I think. What do you think, Alistair?
Yeah, I would put it around there. I definitely thought of him as more of a child side.
Yeah.
I find it really
definitely
cute how
would,
you
yeah.
took, like, how he would say, well, I'm going to hand you off to Dr. Joseph. And it had, like, the
got
color
scared
boxes.
a couple times. He didn't want to talk about things. He's not a very brave fish. So I took over the hard parts for him. Excellent. All right. Anybody have any questions? Hiba.
What time is the next week? Because if we join is it Tuesday class? What time is that going to be at?
It is Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So where do you live, Hiba?
Texas. So is
Texas. So you're Central time?
Yeah.
So it'd be 10 o'clock in the morning for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Bye, everybody. Good to see you. I'll see you either next Tuesday or in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming. Bye.
Bye.